Live on Joy 99.7 FM in Accra, Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, and on over 30 affiliates across the country. Good evening and welcome to Newsnight. And coming up tonight, former Employment and Labour Relations Minister Ignatius Bafwe were picked up by the police for his club's role in the death of a Kotoko fan in Nsawatreman over the weekend. Plus, Minister-designate for Sport and Recreation condemns the violent clashes and calls for improved security at football venues to prevent future recurrence.
Concrete actions will be taken by government because we are not going to tolerate any such act. This government.
Also coming up, the Ghana Football Association suspends the Ghana Premier League and bans Nsawatreman Football Club from using their home venue indefinitely.
Also tonight, EPA makes urgent appeal to security agencies and state institutions to join the fight against illegal mining as it begins strict enforcement of the ban on mining in water bodies.
And it looks like our security agencies are not also on the ground. So the EPA is appealing to all institutions that are responsible to support this kind of protection of the environment.
Meanwhile, some residents around the Etua Forest are calling on government to repeal LI 2462 immediately, urging President John Dramani Mahama to honor his promise to them.
And also coming up tonight, Lands Minister Emmanuel Amakofibua vows to be unrelenting in the Galamsey fight on his first day in office as Lands Minister, as he warns staff of the ministry who are not professional to stay away.
In this ministry, when you walk in here, you must come with your professional heart, determined to help me, the minister, achieve the objectives and the mandate that has been given President Mahama. For anybody here who is not aligned, you must think twice about whether he wants to work here.
We have details as he is set to hold monthly press briefings on Galamsey and other issues that fall under his ministry.
Also tonight, Greater Accra Regional Minister gives 50-day ultimatum to fix dead street lights in Accra, plus plans to drive all hawkers off the street in a move to transform Accra in the next 4 years.
Oh yes, in fact, within 50 days in office, all these things should be fixed. 50 days in office, yeah. Yes, not even all, but we'll make sure that majority, at least 70% of it.
We have details as she sets sanitation improvement as a new performance target for MMDCs, indicating zero tolerance for non-performance.
One of the key performance indicators for metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives will be their effectiveness in managing sanitation and waste. In line with this, there will be a regional sanitation day on the last Friday of every month.
And in business,
inflation continues to slow to new levels, giving some strong indication of Ghana being on that path to the single-digit target.
In sports,
government to review security protocols at sporting venues following fatal stabbing of Kotoko fan.
My name is Faustina Safu.
And I'm Kenneth Jesse. Details after this. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, and we begin from here as the executive chairman of Nsawatreman Football Club, Ignatius Bafwe, has been invited by the Ghana Police Service for questioning following the death of a football fan at Nsawatreman FC's home game against Kumasi Asante Kotoko over the weekend. The former Minister of Employment and Labour Relations has reportedly been charged with conspiracy to commit murder. And of course, we have a police statement coming in right now, and my colleague Michael Ashale has the details. Michael, what is the police saying about this?
Well, this is a statement just signed by Grace Ansan-Krufis, the Assistant Commissioner of Police, Director of Public Affairs. The statement says that the Ghana Police Service has arrested 3 individuals in connection with the violent disturbances that occurred yesterday, 2nd February 2025, during a football match between Nsawatreman FC and Kumasi Asante Kotoko FC at Nsawatre in the Bono region, resulting in the death of one person. It goes on to say that the suspects are Ignatius Bafwe, Ajimandua Owusu, and Treme Joseph. All 3 suspects are currently in police custody, assisting in the investigation. A search conducted in the room of suspect Ajimandua Owusu led to the retrieval of 2 dresses with suspected bloodstains and an MP 23 pistol with 15 rounds of ammunition. The Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Kufu Dampare, has spoken to the family of the deceased and the leadership of Kumasi Asante Kotoko Football FC to express the condolences of the police. It goes on to say that the Inspector General has also assured the family and the club of a thorough investigation into the matter. It ends that a special team has been deployed from the Criminal Investigation Department and from the headquarters here in Accra to assist the Bono Regional Police Command in the investigation. So, Kenneth, this is the statement we are receiving for the Ghana Police Service on the issue, on the incident that happened yesterday between Instraman FC and Kumasi Kotoko.
Indeed, we will be following up on this particular subject.
Well, let's do more on this, Ken, and it's a good time to bring in Steve Zando. He's been following this. He's been engaging the wife of the deceased in question. Thank you so much for your time here on Newsnight. When you went to the area, what exactly did she tell you?
So I was at the family house of the mother of the late Polly, Mr. Francis Yao Entry. Her name is Ama Nyame, and I also went to the wife's family house. In fact, when I went to the mother's family house, it was heartbreaking because, she spoke to the son 3 days ago, and he made it clear to her that he was traveling to Nsrache to watch Asante Kotoko versus Nsracheman FC. The next thing that he heard from the media is that the son has lost his life tragically. And so for the mother, Amanyame, she wants her son to be back. She's still in disbelief. She doesn't really believe that the son is no more. It's understandable. And so it was really heartbreaking. She broke down into uncontrollable tears. And I also went to the family house of the wife as well. And what I observed there was similar to what I observed at the mother's family house. The wife said even after 3 p.m. on Sunday, she spoke to the husband. And the husband was painting a picture of what was going on in Nsrache. The fact that the home team, that is Traman FC, their fans were trying to prevent Kotoko from accessing the Nana Kromansa Park. And then that was the last conversation that she had with the husband. And so the husband assured her that, he'll be back home safely. Unfortunately, she heard from the media that Polly has passed on. It was heartbreaking, and she also broke into uncontrollable tears.
In that interview, I also noticed that she was still in denial. She said she was waiting for her husband to come back home. What exactly is she expecting from authorities?
So what they are expecting from authorities is for justice to be served. Because, they say that Polly always follows the media guys to watch Kotoko matches, and they always come back together. This time around, Polly left Kumasi to go and watch Kotoko full of life. Unfortunately, he returned with a lifeless body. And so the only thing they are demanding in compensation is for justice to be served.
In the official statement put out by Kotoko, they actually sent their condolences. Have they received any official statement or visit from any other person?
Oh yes, when I went to the family house, both the wife and the mother, Asante Kotoko officials had actually gotten in touch with these family members. And so the next thing is for them to go ahead with the funeral arrangements as tradition demands here in the Ashanti region. But what I can also say is that Asante Kotoko officials will meet live president of Asante Kotoko, His Majesty Otunfo II to officially inform him the tragedy that has happened. And so from there, Kotoko said they will come out with another public statement, this time in conjunction with what the family will tell them.
Thank you so much. Now, it's a good time to just get a wrap of what exactly happened. This morning on SMS, we heard from the member of Kotoko media team, Stephen Owusu. He witnessed the horror and he gave an account as to what exactly happened. We'll hear from him shortly. But then joining me in the studio is a member of our Joy Sports Desk, Daniel Cranting. Daniel, for people listening and they don't know what actually happened, give us a rundown. What happened?
It was a Ghana Premier League match with 19 clash between Instraman and Asante Kotoko yesterday. That game has a lot of history with the two teams and where they come from, the two areas. The game was stopped a couple of times during the match because of some unrest. First off, it started on the field. In fact, before the game, there were some tensions, obviously, because of the rivalry and the tension between the two clubs. But the game was halted a couple of times. There was brawl between the two teams. Missiles were being thrown onto the pitch. It happened the first time. Then the referee and the match commissioner decided to continue the game. Then the game was halted again because of similar incidents in the crowd and on the field also. Eventually, the game was allowed to continue. It ended up with Nswatraman winning by 1-0. But then the clashes escalated and it went it continued after the game, after the final whistle, outside the stadium. Eyewitness reports state that Poli, which is Francis Frimpong, he was stabbed. They found him lying down. The ambulance service was close by. In fact, the ambulance was close by. It took a while before he was put in the ambulance and eventually sent to the hospital. But unfortunately, he didn't make it. A couple of minutes after the final whistle, in fact, when reports started emerging from the venue, the GFA released a statement. First of all, Asante Kotoko released a statement condemning the action. It took a while before Nswatraman eventually released their statement. They also put out an account of the story from their side. They said it started, or the clashes started at a nearby drinking spot before he came to the stadium, sort of trying to shift attention from themselves. But at the end of the day, the GFA came out with a statement condemning the action. First of all, they decided and they have announced that they have put a halt to the Ghana Premier League. So the Ghana Premier League will take a pause at match day 19. They also ordered an emergency meeting with all the clubs, and Nswatraman was also given a stadium ban. At the end of the statement, the GFA also confirmed that they have referred the matter to the police to begin investigation. So from the footballing side, the FA has done what goes by the rule book to make sure that whoever is found culpable will be punished. But if done in terms of the criminal side, they've referred it to the police. So the police will take over the matter from here.
Thank you, Daniel, for providing us with that update. Well,
Right.
a member of Kotoko media team, Stephen Osubwedi, witnessed the horror. Ken will hear from him shortly, but then take us away.
The Minister-designate for Sports and Recreation, Kofi Adams, has also condemned the violent clashes that happened at Nswatre over the weekend, which resulted in the death of a football fan. The deceased, identified as Francis Frimpong, popularly known as Pole, was believed to be a passionate supporter of Kumasi Asante Kotoko. Now, Kofi Adams says this government will follow this issue to the end and ensure all those found culpable are dealt with by the law.
Government will follow through to its logical conclusion. It doesn't matter who is involved. It will not matter who is involved. If you are found guilty that you instigated, you participated, the appropriate actions will be taken by government, because we are not going to tolerate any such act. This government, the administration of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, will not tolerate any violence whatsoever, any hooliganism at any of our stadia and any of our games. That is not what sport is about. And especially for us who have seen what hooliganism and violence in sports can do to a nation, the May 9th disaster, we should not be having this occur again. No. Of course, it is also a wake-up call to look at our security at stadia.
Right.
Stadia security. We will have to look at review security at stadia and see to improving security at our stadia. And also in emergency responses, the ambulance responses. Is it enough that you have a match of that nature and only one ambulance, or you need more than one to be strategically positioned and so on and so forth? Our emergency response situation in our stadia, we need to review all these and make sure that we bring it to standard.
While away from that, the Environmental Protection Agency is making an urgent appeal to security agencies and state institutions to join the fight against illegal mining as it begins strict enforcement of the ban on mining in water bodies. Now, over the weekend, the agency seized 3 excavators along the River Offing, reinforcing its commitment to protecting water sources from destruction.
Right, and despite previous government interventions, Galamsey continues to severely pollute vital water bodies. And led by the EPA CEO, Professor Nanama Brown Kluche, the authority, it says, is ramping up enforcement efforts to curb the menace. Nanaya Ojima was with her and now reports.
The EPA issued a directive last month ordering the cessation of all mining activities within and along water bodies. It further indicated preparedness to seize and prosecute persons acting contrary to the directive. Checks by the EPA revealed persons perpetrating the illegality at Paso tributary of the Offing River continued to mine despite the order. Though the miners were absent at the time of the visit, 3 excavators and other equipment used in the mining operations were mounted at the site. According to experts, the pit is newly dug for the mining activities. CEO of the EPA, Professor Nanama Brown Kluche, expressed disappointment at the spate of destruction.
When we came, we didn't find the miners on ground, but we have seen the level of destructions that has happened here. We've seen also not just the gold mine, there's also sand winning in this area. There's a lot at stake. So you can see the pit behind me. This pit, we need to reclaim the land. We need to rehabilitate the water. We looked at the water, the color of the water. You see a clear pollution of the water. We are here. We have seen it with our naked eyes for the first time. This is my first visit since I took office, and it's pathetic. I will plead with the communities and their elders, the chiefs, to come in, step in this.
Continuous mining in the river bodies has resulted in the destruction of some water bodies in the country. To the EPA, restoration of the river bodies remain a priority.
So our first focus has been on the water bodies because it is pathetic. We can't do without water. If our rivers are all getting polluted and taps are not having water running through them, it's an emergency we need to tackle immediately. So that is where we started from.
Meanwhile, the tributary of the Offing River is also affected by illegal sand winning. Huge acres of land are destroyed by the winners. Professor Kluche reviewed the area will come under regulation.
EPA still regulates the sand winning or sand mining activities. So we just need to ensure that the miners of the sand have the right permit to do what they do. It is EPA's mandate to regulate that as well. Of course, they also go through the Minerals Commission for some licenses and access and all of that. We also want to plead with all the other agencies that are involved in such mining activities, providing the licenses and regulation to also up their game.
For Joy News, Nanaya Ojima, Kumasi.
Right, and still on illegal mining, the concerned citizens of Atiwa Landscape are calling on government to repeal the legislative instrument which allows for mining in forest reserves. Now, the group alleges that illegal miners have taken over the forest. They want President John Mahama to make good his promise to them. Nana Yao Ampim Amponsa speaks for the concerned citizens of Atiwa Landscape.
You know, the LI 240 has said that before you issue the license for mining operator, we should exclude all forest. But the landscape, we have miners in there doing Galamsey. So we want him to halt all the Galamsey things that is going on in the forest, because illegal miners have taken over the Atiwa forest. But what he said in 2016, we are pleading with him to come back to what he said the promise and fulfill it by halting every Galamsey activity in the Tiwa forest.
Well, Ken, it's a good time to bring in the CEO of EPA, Nana Ama Brown Kluche. Thank you so much, Prof, for your time here on Newsnight. Now, let's start with a breakdown of what this operation actually entails. What's the scope?
Yeah, thank you, and good evening to your listeners. Is it the operation that we had at the Ashanti region over the weekend?
Yes, indeed.
Okay. Yeah, so this is following an issue, a press statement that EPA brought out last week on the illegal mining on lands around the water body and in our water body. So the EPA statement was that all mining activities in the water bodies and around the water bodies should cease. It went ahead to say citizens and Ghanaians seeing such should report accordingly for EPA to take action from that. So we received several of those complaints about mining in the water bodies and around it. So EPA, led by myself and the Ashanti Regional Office, paid an unannounced visit to one of the sites we got a call on. So this is a tributary of Kano River, I think by Kesi area. So we went to inspect the place, and then we saw that truly, indeed, there's mining activity happening very close to the Kano River. On our way there, we saw that the Kano River was completely polluted. The color has changed, and you know it goes even beyond the color. If mercury is mixed up with water, you don't get to see. Cyanide mixed up with water, you don't get to see with your naked eyes. Other heavy metals may be mixed up in the water, you don't get to see. But on the surface, you see the water, the color of the water is changed, it's polluted. So we were following to make sure that people have stopped mining. But it looks like it's still happening. People are still mining in and around the water bodies. What we seek to do is to engage the community where these mining activities are happening. Because if they can decide not to allow, even if the people have the license to mine, but the EPA will never give license to anybody to mine in water bodies or a certain circumference around a water body. So which means that the activities are illegal, and we have to take legal action or prosecute them where possible.
And then let's move on to look at the excavators that were seized during this operation. What will happen to them, and were there any arrests?
Yes, so we didn't really look the miners on site. While we were there, a few young men came there because they saw the cars moving to the site. With our interaction with them, they confessed that they've been working for the miners. So they watched the ore, and then they take them away. So our engagement with them was such. With the excavators, we see what we had there. We seized two of them. We couldn't take one off because the operator was not around and the key was not around. And the truck to carry it could not use that road to get to the site. But we were able to send two away to the Regional Coordinating Council office. We left it to the National Security operators there.
Will you be moving to other regions with this operation? Because I know you started in the Ashanti region.
Yes, we'll be moving to other regions. But we are not done with the Ashanti region yet. So this was an unannounced visit to the site by myself and my team. The intelligence and compliance unit of the EPA will be moving to Ashanti region. From any time from next week, they'll be moving to Ashanti region to make sure that people are complying to the environmental rules. So that one is going to happen next week in Ashanti region.
But what's different really from this strategy?
We feel we should engage the community and leadership Another thing we will do is, as we speak, we have experienced or seen technologies that are message-free that we can use to do the data processing. We want to engage the miners on it, and we hope that they will make use of this new technology. We would also be educating the miners on sustainable way of mining and reclaiming of the mining land. Of course, we saw places that have been abandoned, like they done with their mining and they left it distracted. But those who are still on it, we can hold them accountable after mining to cover or reclaim the land and even even plant trees on them.
Okay.
So we make it easy,
okay,
but we engage them as humans to have some love for the environment.
Thank you so much, CEO for EPA, Nana Kluche.
Well, let's still stay on illegal mining because the Lands and Natural Resources Minister, Emmanuel Amakofibua, has vowed to be unrelenting in the fight against Galamsey on his first full day in office as minister. Amakofibua is warning staff of his ministry who will not act professionally and sabotage his effort to fight Galamsey to stay away or be dealt with. He was speaking to journalists after meeting with top management and staff of the Lands Ministry.
I had a very good meeting with the chief director and the directors of the ministry. I finished a staff meeting today and engaged the staff of the ministry, roughly about 160 of them, and we got a chance to, share ideas. First, I had to introduce myself and let them know why I'm here, and the mandate of His Excellency President John Mahama. I share with them that we are here because we have the mandate of the people of Ghana to reset not only Ghana, but especially in this case, the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, to focus on reforming the forestry department, making sure that we take a complete look at the mining sector and address all the concerns that the people of Ghana have shared, and make sure we bring a stop to illegal mining. And in the process, make sure the destruction of our forests and our environment and our water bodies is basically brought to an end. We need to stop the bleeding, and so for the ministry, everybody who is working here, his goal must be towards achieving that objective. I told them that this place in this ministry, when you walk in here, you must come with your professional heart, determined to help me, the minister, achieve the objectives and the mandate that has been given President Mahama and his new government. If anybody here who is not aligned, he must think twice about whether he wants to work here.
Well, that's the Lands and Natural Resources Minister, Emmanuel Amakofibua. He also says he will hold monthly briefings to address the nation on efforts being made to fight Galamsey and will keep the nation informed every step of the way.
I'm very confident. As a leader, my job is to make sure I motivate and drive everybody here to believe that we can achieve all the goals we've set. And I think that that's what I'm going to provide. And I think that, as I've said today, everybody who is determined to work and support me achieve these objectives must feel free and be excited to work here, because those are the people I'll be working with. And so we started on a very positive note, and I believe that the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, the beautiful staff I met today, will also have. We'll be doing the next step in the coming days, where we'll be engaging all the sector agencies, to basically look at their commitments. That's what we want to do. We'll set goals. We'll be going in the coming weeks, or we'll also be going on a retreat to make sure we set clear timeline goals for the quarter, each quarter till the end of the year, and make sure we have clear benchmarks in achieving these goals. And so we are very excited, and I think that the people of Ghana can be assured that we are here going to work very hard on their behalf. You took the trouble, the media, to visit the ministry on my first day in office. I believe that you are a key part of this effort. And let me use the opportunity first to thank you, the media, for your reportage on the issues of mining and illegal mining and the destruction of our water bodies.
That's the Lands and Natural Resources Minister, Emmanuel Ama Kofi.
And it's time now for business. George Rafi joins me in the studio. George, tell me all about the new Bank of Ghana governor.
Well, Dr. Johnson Isiama today took office, been doing some engagement. I'll be getting you more details on what he has been up to and what he's promising the market as well. Well, coming up in the business, inflation rate continues to reduce to new levels, giving some strong indication of Ghana being on that path to the single-digit target. But the yam and tomatoes record the highest inflation rate. I'll be telling you more on that. And the new Bank of Ghana Governor, Dr. Johnson Isiama, promises to focus on their mandate in ensuring that there will be smooth transition. I'll be getting you more details on that on the business news on Newsnight. It's brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one stop shop for all your office essentials. Sinter's Tanks and Pepsodent, Herbal and Charcoal. Welcome back to Business on Newsnight. And now let's look at the fact that the rate at which inflation is increasing continues to reduce to fresh levels. New data from the Ghana Statistical Service showed that for the second month running, it slowed to 23.5% for the month of January this year. There is more in this report.
December 2024, inflation rate stood at 23.8%. It then reduced to 23.5% in January this year. Let's look at the month-on-month numbers. In November last year, inflation was around 2.6% and then reduced to 1.8% and 1.7% in January 2025. Whilst the year-on-year tracks the rate of increase over the year, the month-on-month looks at how things have fared just over a month. Even though the 23.5% is far away from the single-digit target, developments over the past 2 months show that the rate of increase is going down and the country could be on the path of hitting the single-digit target by the second quarter of next year. However, the general price levels of foodstuff still continues to be a major challenge. For instance, from December 2024 to January 2025, it went up by 5%. The trend also showed that it has been rising over the past months. The data showed that inflation for imported items were reducing, whilst inflation for locally produced items were going up. Tomatoes and yam recorded the highest inflation over the past 1 year. The development again raises a lot of concerns about past programs aimed at boosting food production.
And that is a Business Desk report. Meanwhile, government statistician Professor Samuel Kobnenim has been giving some dynamics to the rising prices of foodstuffs on the market.
But what is intriguing from our point of view is when you disaggregate it in terms of the subclasses that we have under food inflation. And as was indicated earlier on, we have about 15 of that we present on a monthly basis. And consistently in the last 13 months, we've seen the dominance of vegetables, tubers, and plantains. So one can surmise that over the last 6 months, the consistent increase in food inflation that we've seen over the period has largely been driven by vegetables, tubers, and plantains. This also is further supported with the observation that yam on a year-on-year basis recorded a change of 72.9%, which is one of the items that you're going to find under vegetables, tubers, and plantains. And also we're seeing tomatoes recording a price change of 43.3%. So once you disaggregate up to the item level, you can identify the items that are specifically driving the rate of inflation, food inflation, consistently in the last 6 months.
And that is government statistician Professor Samuel Kobnenim. The new Bank of Ghana Governor, Dr. Johnson Isiama, has promised to work with the current deputies of the bank to ensure a smooth transition. Dr. Isiama today formally began work as the new boss of the institution. Now, there are fears that he may move to let these two deputies push for an early retirement. But speaking at engagement on his first day at work, Dr. Isiama insisted that that is not on the table.
The public must see us, as working together. It's just another transition, which is normal. The good thing is some of the people here are people we know already. And so the transition, you can be sure, will be smooth. You can see how the transition can be. Early this morning, we have held a number of discussions already between ourselves. Some briefing has gone on. And so far, so good. You can be sure that everything will be fine. We are focused on our mandate, and that is what matters. And so you can look forward, to us executing our mandate as we've been doing.
And that is the new governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Isiama. Meanwhile, Professor Peter Kotia, an economist, is urging the new governor to make sure that current programs being implemented by the bank are not disrupted.
You see them talking, you see them trying to have a smooth transition, which for me is very critical, very important. By the way, the governor and the first deputy governor were mates in school, so it's the communication and the transition will be good. The second deputy governor is also a mate of ours, so I expect this dialogue, smooth transition, to continue. Dr. Isiama Johnson has been with the bank before. He's been there since
deputy governor,
the deputy governor, since he completed his master's degree, and so he's quite an experienced guy who knows what it takes, and has been there. I believe we'll get the support of the staff, and of course, engage in teamwork, so that we'll be able to stabilize the exchange rate. There's been some relative stability, but he needs to push that further.
And that is an economist, Professor Peter Kotia. But before we go, the path may now have been cleared for the Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Anthony Kwesi, to continue acting as boss of the institution. Now, this was after a suit filed by one Emmanuela Safoa was withdrawn today. Now, the application was seeking to overturn President John Mahama's decision to appoint Mr. Sapon as acting boss of the Ghana Revenue Authority, citing alleged conflict of interest. However, legal documents filed at the Accra High Court confirmed that the suit has been wholly discontinued, paving the way for the Commissioner General to focus on his work at the institution. And that's all for business on Newsnight. Let's do sports with my brother.
Let's go straight into our stories. And Minister-designate for Sports and Recreation, Kofi Adams, has assured the public that government will intensify security at various stadia across the country. This follows a tragic stabbing of an Asante Kotoko fan in their Ghana Premier League match against Nswatriman yesterday. Kofi Adams has also proposed a special security arrangement for Asante Kotoko going forward for away matches in the Bono region due to the history of violence against the club in that area.
Sure, you're not going to have the same thing that has been happening in the past. We will improve security, and especially one thing from my reading is that anytime Kotoko is playing a match in that part of the country, there seems to be some unpleasant situations. Sometimes not on the pitch, sometimes after the game, on their way back, they encounter such incidents. And so what it means also is that some special arrangement will have to be made for Kotoko anytime they have to have a match in that area.
You had Sports Minister-designate Kofi Adams speaking there, bringing an end to sports. Back to you guys.
Well, thank you very much, Daniel. Now, let's bring you more stories tonight as the Greater Accra Regional Minister, Linda Oklu, has given herself 50 days to lit the streets of Accra. The non-functioning of street lights has become a major concern across the country, with many attributing highway robberies and road accidents to the city's dark streets. The new regional minister, Linda Oklu, has been outlining her solution for the challenge as part of a grand agenda to transform the region in the next 4 years.
The provision and replacement of street lights will be intensified under my tenure to enhance visibility, reduce crime, and improve road safety, ensuring all effective Efficient street light system will contribute to the region's overall security and economic development. I will ensure street enforcement and usage of footbridges in the region to enhance pedestrian safety and improve traffic flow.
When do you have any timelines for your plan to fix all street lights, as you mentioned?
Oh yes, in fact, within 50 days in office, all these things should be fixed. 50 days in office, yeah. Yes, not even all, but we'll make sure that majority, at least 70% of it, should be, yes, fixed.
Right, and my colleague James Aviji was at that particular press conference, which was addressed by the new Greater Accra Regional Minister, and joins me in the studio with more. James, let's talk about this street lights issue. Is it clear how the minister will get this done?
Well, Ken, it's not yet clear how she will do that, but we know that street lights have been maintained by the Urban Roads Department, as well as some assemblies, even through their engineering department, get the repairing of the street lights going. And I mean, most of the heads of all of this department have been present during this engagement. Remember, this is his first day at work, where she's been interacting with heads of department of the various agencies at the regional level. And so the indication we get is that she will be collaborating with all of the various assemblies to execute this agenda.
Right, and let's talk about sanitation, which is also one of the problems of the capital. The minister has been telling us how she intends to deal with this. Tell us more.
Exactly. So two key things. One is that she's making this as a key performance index for all of the MMDCs who are yet to be approved, and two is the drive to take away all hawkers from the street to make sure that the beauty of the street returns back to normalcy, so that all of the chaos we see are dealt with. Those are the two key things she's promising to do.
We will review and implement a comprehensive sanitation and waste policy in line with the NDC's Clean Up Ghana initiative to promote a healthier and cleaner environment. Waste segregation will be encouraged with support for garbage bins, bags, bins in public places and homes. One of the key performance indicators for metropolitan, municipal, and district chief executives will be their effectiveness in managing sanitation and waste. The reintroduction of the National Sanitation Day and the Cleanest City Award will promote a competitive and responsible approach to environmental sanitation. In line with this, there will be a Regional Sanitation Day on the last Friday of every month. We will coordinate and monitor the enforcement of the National Sanitation Day policy, ensuring that MMDAs implement sustainable, integrated solid waste management strategies based on prevention, separation, reduction, recycling, and safe disposal.
Well, there's been reaction from the hawkers already. What are their concerns?
Well, they are concerned about the minister's move to take them off the street. They want an engagement, as well as the promise that wherever she will be taking them to, their businesses would still flourish there.
When you are driving us from this place, you have to tell us, where are you going and what are we going to do at that place? How our market is going to be at that, because this place, the people know us. When we came from Akatamanto, sorry for left, and they come here, when somebody come and buy this tote bag, he will ask you, she or he will ask you, are you here always? I said yes. So when the person comes and he doesn't see me here, then you go to another person. Maybe the place that the minister is going to take me to that place, the person will not see me at that place.
Marketing, market inside the hall. Marketing also.
Not every trader can get a space in the market. The place is full to capacity. We don't have anywhere else to trade. That is why we sell by the roadside. Honorable Minister, I know you are a woman. You have some empathy for us. We promise to give way to pedestrians so that they can also patronize us.
Well, away from sanitation, let's talk education.
Well, the West African Examination Council has filed a stay of execution against the High Court, directing the release of their withheld results. Now, on Thursday, 30th of January, the court ruled in favor of 4 students who filed an application on behalf of 10,520 candidates, arguing that WAEC had failed to specify the alleged malpractices and irregularities that led to the withholding of their results. However, WAEC's head of legal affairs, Reverend Victor Brew, told Joy News that the council is seeking a reconsideration of the ruling.
There has been a court case and there has been a ruling which we have filed a stay of execution pending appeal. Now we are yet to get a typed out copy of the ruling so that we can actually study it as lawyers and then respond as appropriate. The court makes a ruling based on the facts as the court perceives before it. Okay, and as we are aware, courts are human institutions. They make rulings, and they can really look at their own rulings. It's an issue of perhaps WAEC clarifying further what the position is and urging on the court to take a second look at its ruling.
Well, he further stated that the pressure for WAEC to release the withheld results without completing the necessary investigations is concerning.
We are having people finishing degrees, masters, and I dare say, with some reputation, PhD, who are not worth their salt. And I think that WAEC is only making a contribution to ensuring that we keep the gate so that we don't have people going through to become lawyers, doctors, even there's maybe judges, and so on and so forth, who have not gone through the rigor of study. I think we should be very careful as a nation. So I admit that, yes, we can, the situation can improve further. And that is a call for more resources, human resources, other resources. So I can do the work on all of us our behalf. We should not forget, all of us our behalf. If we feel as a nation that we should let people go, mass of people go who have cheated, well, let's say so. But we should remember, whatever we sow, we will reap.
WAEC's head of legal affairs, Reverend Victor Brew, there. Now, meanwhile, the lawyer for the applicants, Martin Pebu, has expressed disappointment in WAEC's decision to file a stay of execution.
Naturally, I'm disappointed that WAEC is dragging this matter because, as we speak now, the University of Ghana and then I think KNUST, they have closed their portals. What I mean is that any further delay in the release of the results will result in the affected candidates not being able to enroll in those particular universities this academic year. So this is a matter that is very, very serious. It's causing a lot of trauma, anxiety, depression, etc. to these affected candidates and their parents and well-wishers. So I was hoping that WAEC would release these results quickly so that these students can, apply at least the rest of the universities and then try to move on, in terms of their educational career.
We stay a while on education as the Ghana National Association of Teachers has attributed the decline in student discipline in senior high schools to the weakening of school authority and lack of parental collaboration in shaping children. Now, this comes in the wake of a disturbing viral video showing a student from Accra Academy wielding a cutlass to flog 2 of his peers.
The students have been handed over to the Ghana Police Service for further investigations, according to the school's management. Speaking to Joy News, NAT President Reverend Isaac Owusu emphasized the need to restore the authority of head teachers and teachers to enforce discipline effectively.
The authority on paper is there, but when a head teacher genuinely wants to exert that authority, a parent who is not happy will take the law into their hand and come and beat up that head teacher. We have a scenario in the Greater Accra when the teacher wanted to correct a student. The student's family members trooped into the school, beat up this teacher, and as I talk to you now, the teacher is no more. And latter part of last year, you saw on social media that a student has used some devices to hit the teacher's eye in Ashanti region. So collectively, as a state, if we don't put up measures that will encourage the implementers of government policy, i.e. the teachers, then we are going to see worse. But how can a normal student will take a machete and start hitting a colleague? You will not, even if you have a dog at your house, will you use a cutlass to beat the dog? Certainly no. So for me, I think that the authority shouldn't be on paper, because you and I, when we used to be students back in the days, our teachers were able to discipline us.
Well, Reverend Owusu further called for sensitization of students on the importance of good behavior to minimize the indiscipline.
Immediately, I think that parents who are immediate caretakers of this kids should do their best to advise their children to refrain from some of this unwanted behavior. And then, as teachers, to continue to encourage our members that we should continue to sensitize the children the importance of being putting up a good behavior, because once you are a student, think of tomorrow, what you want to become. And I believe that once we begin to talk to them and sensitize them, I think if we are unable to eradicate it, we will be able to minimize it.
Right, and that's how we wrap up tonight's edition of News Night. Thank you very much for being a part of the show. My name is Kenneth Jesse.
I am Faustina Safo. Good night.